Hello and welcome back to my channel. This will be a quick video for those wanting to understand what superannuation fund they should choose. So I don't have the right answer for you, but I can give you some of my tips that may or may not be applicable to you, and just some guidelines to think about when choosing your super fund of your choice. So firstly, I'd like to say that choosing the right super fund for you is extremely important. It can impact your balance by hundreds of thousands of dollars from even a percentage point difference in, for example, performance fees. Therefore, you should take your time and choose the fund that you need, but some tips. Firstly, I would say to look on articles that summarize the investment returns over a 10-year period, net of investment fees and taxes and others of the like. So you're looking at the true performance of that fund over the 10 years. The reason I wouldn't recommend looking at the investment performance of, say, a year or 2 years or 3 years is because you want to have, because super is such a long time period that you're holding the balance, you want a fund that performs time and time again, and it doesn't just have a great year, because over your lifetime you want it to continuously perform at the top of the charts. Also, I would say it has to be the investment performance net of fees, because say your fund performs really well, but then it has really high fees, it then might be about third ranking when it comes to returns versus first ranking. So that's also an important consideration when considering that. Secondly, I would like to say customer service would be one of my top tips when choosing a fund. So when it comes time to, for example, pull on that insurance that you may need to pull on or make a claim, you don't want to be waiting months and months when you need that money. And so therefore customer service is incredibly important. It's also important because making a decision and sorting out your super, you don't want to be waiting on the phone and then just forgetting about it because you've never got through. It's a lot of money that they're dealing with for yourself, so you deserve to be answered straight away. A way in which you can check any complaints that have been lodged for a particular super fund is the Australian Financial Complaints Authority. They list the number of complaints that have been made by a single super fund. So obviously you'll always have, every fund will have complaints, but you wouldn't want to be going with the one with the most if customer service is one of the metrics that you care about. And other factors, I would say the first ones that I've gone through are more important, but other factors, if I was trying to set up some guardrails when picking a super fund, would be the ethics of the board and maybe the super fund's purpose. So some super funds are member only, so any profit gets redistributed to the members, or some super funds are industry funds and some super funds are for profit. So depending on that structure, depending on the performance, some super funds might align to you better. Secondly, some employers actually have corporate plans. So when you're on a corporate plan, that means that your employer's default super fund that they recommend, typically they have negotiated a different fee structure for all the employees. And so if you were to sign up with them in the public domain outside of your employer, you'd be charged a higher fee than what your employer has provided that discount, bringing essentially all their workers over to that book. So that is something to look into if, for example, you're looking at an article, looking at investment returns, net of returns, but then you'd probably have to consider separately if your individual company has a select super fund that they've already negotiated lower fees on. It might be worthwhile looking at that individually, because sometimes that's a really great benefit. Also, I would look at cyber protection. It's not just a hype word. All your money is in, like a significant amount of your money is in superannuation. You don't want a super fund that doesn't have the proper IT mechanisms to secure your funds. You don't want people hacking and entering in to your super balance and withdrawing money on your behalf. With phishing and AI and all the like, it's more important that the super fund you choose is adequately secure to handle your funds. You don't want to be that person that's getting a letter saying all your details have been leaked and your super balance isn't there. Also, I would say that my personal opinion is not to go with a super fund that's too small, so not like one of the top 10. My opinion is that because I don't think that they can have the scale that the larger super funds can have. The more members, the more fun, the more you can bring down the scalability of the service. So, for example, if you were trying to better strengthen the cybersecurity of the fund, you'd have more funds at your disposal to kind of do that and mass benefit each member, but then per member, the cost wouldn't be that high to have the highest security, whereas the smaller funds just have less money to play with to enhance those type of things. I would also say that they're less, they're not as much of a focus on the large regulatory bodies such as APRA, Australian. So yeah, I would say that I would just want to be with a fund that's large enough that people care so much that everything goes smoothly. So that if, for example, if something did happen, the regulator would be really focused on making sure that the fund then complies and meets all the requirements because it's affecting so many members. That's just my personal opinion, and I just thought I would put that out there if you were wondering or wanted some help. Thank you.